Hello everyone, and welcome to my channel. Today's story is called The Moment I Should Have Walked Away. If I had trusted the way my hands were shaking that night, I never would have let him inside. But I didn't trust my hands. I trusted my heartbeat instead. And that was my first mistake, the first lie that I told myself. I didn't plan to see him again. Honestly, I didn't even expect to want to. The whole point of moving into that apartment was to disappear, to be anonymous, unremarkable, untraceable. No more neighbors who knew too much, no more coworkers who watched every expression like they might catch me slipping. I wanted a life with fewer reflections of who I used to be and more blank spaces I could decide on later. But the universe has a habit of sending you the one person you should avoid at exactly the moment you feel strongest. Strength can be the most dangerous weakness. I didn't know that yet. I met him on a Tuesday. It was raining hard, the kind of rain that blurs streetlights into long streaks of gold, the kind that makes every window feel like a confession booth. I was carrying groceries, soaked through, trying to unlock the side entrance because the front door code had been reset again. I didn't hear him walk up behind me. I just felt the shift, the warm pressure of someone standing too close to be polite, but not close enough to be inappropriate. Then a voice, smooth, steady, dangerously sure of itself. "You're using the old code." I froze. Maybe because of how calm he sounded, like he already knew I'd turn to look at him, like he'd been waiting. When I did, he was already watching me. He wasn't smiling, but his eyes were a quiet, private amusement, the kind people have when they see something they recognize in you too quickly. "Try 1399, he said. I did. The door clicked open. Most people would have thanked him and gone upstairs. I waited 2 seconds too long. I felt him watching me wait. And when he reached to hold the door, his fingers brushed mine. Not intentionally, not dramatically, just long enough that my pulse skipped like a scratched record. He noticed. Of course he did. His voice dropped ever so slightly. "You live here?" I nodded. "Me too," he said. "4th floor. I don't see you around." Maybe it was exhaustion, or the rain, or the way his gaze didn't flinch from mine. Whatever it was, I answered more honestly than I should have. "I don't really want to be seen." His expression shifted, not surprise, but recognition, like I'd given away more than I intended. He leaned his shoulder against the doorframe, just out of my reach, but close enough that I felt the warmth of him in the cold air. "Then why are you looking at me like you want me to remember your face?" I should have walked away. Hesitation becomes invitation. Instead, I said the first lie I told myself about him. I wasn't. He didn't challenge it. He just tilted his head a fraction, as if storing my answer somewhere it could come back to haunt me later. "My name's Kai," he said. I told him mine, though I don't know why. I'd promised myself I wasn't giving anyone that anymore. Over the next week, I saw him 3 more times, never planned, always too-timed to feel random. Once in the mailroom, where he somehow knew which mailbox was mine. Once in the stairwell, where he held the railing but didn't climb, like he was waiting to see if I'd choose the elevator. And once on the roof, where I found him leaning against the railing, looking at the city like it belonged to him. I wasn't avoiding him, not exactly, but I wasn't seeking him out either. Or that's what I told myself. The second lie. When he finally spoke again, it was late, nearly midnight. I was taking out trash, mundane, forgettable. Yet that's when the story truly began. come here often?" he said behind me. I turned. He was leaning against the lamppost like a scene staged for meaning, hands in pockets, head tilted slightly, rain starting again. "Only when I need to escape," I said before thinking. He raised an eyebrow. "From what?" I didn't answer. I couldn't. Some things are answers just by being asked. Instead, I changed the subject. "You always end up outside at the same time as me?" Kai hesitated just long enough that I noticed. Maybe I just have good timing. It could have been a joke. It wasn't. He knows something he won't say. And then, "You don't have to pretend you don't see me," he added quietly. "I don't mind being seen." Something in his voice, not arrogance, not desperation, certainty. As if he'd already made peace with the consequences of being noticed. Most people hide their desire. Kai hid his restraint. That's what made me stay outside longer than I needed to. That's what made the rain feel warmer. The following night, I heard music through the thin wall separating our apartments. Not loud, just a heartbeat against drywall. Bass low, melody aching. I shouldn't have recognized the song, but I did. The same one someone once played for me when they said they loved me and didn't mean it. The past has a smell, rain and regret. And that night, both crept under my door. I sat on my bed, back against the wall, listening without meaning to. Then his music stopped. The knock came 6 seconds later. Not urgent, not hesitant, just inevitable. I opened the door expecting Kai, and it was him, but not the version I'd met in passing. This one was bare-faced of control, eyes softened, jaw tense like he was fighting himself. He didn't step in. He didn't need to. "I've been trying not to knock," he said. My pulse flickered. "Why?" "Because once I'm here..." He looked past me into the half-lit room. "I won't pretend. I could have closed the door. I should have. But something in me, the reckless part, the wounded part, the part I thought I buried, lifted its head. And I whispered the third lie. I just want to talk." His breath caught, barely, but enough. "Are you sure?" he asked. No, I wasn't sure of anything. So, I told the fourth lie. Yes. When I stepped aside to let him in, his hand brushed mine again. Not accidentally this time. And the way we both froze for half a heartbeat said everything we weren't allowed to say out loud. Desire is mutual, but truth is not. We didn't kiss. We didn't touch more than the brush of fingers passing a glass of water. But the silence between us was thick with all the things we almost did. He asked questions, not invasive, but precise. Why this building? What were you escaping? Who hurt you enough that you left without goodbye? I gave half answers. Enough to keep him curious, not enough to make him dangerous. Except curiosity is danger when the person asking refuses to look away. He wasn't trying to own my story. He was trying to map it, slowly, carefully, like someone tracing constellations they already suspect they've seen before. At one point he said, "You don't flinch when you're vulnerable. Most people do." I swallowed hard. Maybe I'm used to being seen. He leaned forward, elbows on knees, eyes on mine. "No, you're used to being misunderstood. It's different." I don't know why that line landed so deep. Maybe because no one had ever said it without meaning something in return. He sees a truth I never said. Then midnight settled into 3 a.m. The rain didn't stop. Neither of us moved. Finally, he stood, but didn't reach for the door. "Do you want me to stay?" he asked. There was no threat in it, no play, just possibility. My chest tightened. I could have said yes. I almost did. But something darker, older, wiser whispered the fifth lie in my voice. No, I'm fine. Kai nodded once, slow, thoughtful, like he was memorizing the way I lied. I hope that's true, he said quietly, because if not, someone's going to break your heart again. And I don't know if I want that person to be me. He left before I could breathe. The door closed. The room felt emptier than before he entered. And the truth rose in my throat like a confession I wasn't ready to make. I didn't want him to stay. I wanted him to choose later to come back anyway. The next morning, I checked my phone. Instinct, habit, hope. I don't know. There was a message I didn't expect. Not from Kai. From someone I hadn't heard from in months. Someone who should not have known where I lived. You moved. I found you. My blood went cold. Before I could process it, there was another knock at my door. Not tentative this time. Not gentle. I forced my expression, calm, heartbeat sprinting under my skin, and opened it. I expected the past. It wasn't. It was Kai. His voice was too steady. Can I come in? I wanted to say no. I needed to say no. But the look in his eyes told me he already knew something was wrong, and something in me reached for the one person I wasn't supposed to trust. I stepped aside. He entered. He closed the door behind him, slow, controlled, like someone preparing for a conversation that would change everything. Then he looked at me the way people look right before telling the truth they shouldn't say out loud. And he whispered, I didn't knock last night because of the music. I knocked because someone came to my door asking your name. The danger isn't desire, it's history. I felt the ground shift beneath my feet, the past colliding with the present in one sharp instant of clarity. Someone found me. And Kai already knew. The strangest part wasn't the fear, it was the realization. The only person I wanted in that moment, the only person who felt safe, was the one I should have locked my door against. Kai stepped closer, not touching me, not needing to, and lowered his voice to something quiet, protective, and far too familiar. Tell me who you're running from. I didn't answer. The sixth lie formed on my tongue, but I never got the chance to speak it, because my phone buzzed again. I looked down. Open the door. I know you're not alone. I didn't tell Kai what the message said. I didn't need to. He saw the color leave my face, and with that, inevitability replaced hesitation. He reached past me, slow, deliberate, and locked the deadbolt with a soft click that sounded like a promise or a threat. Then he looked at me differently, not curious, not amused, but protective in a way that terrified me more than the knock ever could. The rain outside thickened, drowning out everything but the sound of my own breath. Kai exhaled, almost a whisper. I think the story you've been avoiding is finally here. The door handle from outside twisted. Someone tried to push in. I didn't move. Couldn't. Kai stepped between me and the door. Instinct, not choice. And for the first time, I understood. I hadn't let him in. But he was already inside my life. The knocking stopped. Silence stretched. Tense, suffocating, electric. Then a voice from the hallway, muted but unmistakable. I know who you really are. My entire body went cold because that voice, I recognized it, and it belonged to the last person who should ever have found me again. The hallway fell silent, the footsteps retreated, and Kai turned to face me slowly, as if calculating every possible meaning behind what just happened. His expression wasn't shocked, it was prepared, as if he'd expected this all along, "We're not done," he said. "Not until you tell me why that voice knows your name." I opened my mouth, but the truth got caught behind all the lies I'd built to survive. My hands were shaking, the same way they were shaking the night I met him. And finally, I understood why. I wasn't afraid of who was outside the door. I was afraid of what Kai would do once he knew the truth. The secret that followed me. There are two kinds of truths. The ones we tell because we're ready, and the ones we tell because we ran out of places to hide. This was the second kind. The silence after the voice in the hallway felt heavier than the words themselves. Not just silence, anticipation. The kind that comes before storms, decisions, disasters. Kai watched me without blinking, not demanding, waiting. His hands weren't clenched, weren't relaxed either. They hung loose at his sides like someone ready to either pull you close or hold you back, depending on what you became in the next breath. "Are you going to tell me who that was?" he asked quietly. I swallowed. My voice felt trapped somewhere between memory and warning. "I don't know where to start." Kai stepped closer, not closing the distance fully, but tightening the air between us. "Start anywhere," he said. "I just need the truth of it, not all of it, just enough to understand who's knocking on your door." I could have given him a safe version. I could have told him a neutral beginning. But something about the look in his eyes, steady, unhurried, made the seventh lie die in my throat before it formed. "My past didn't stay in the past," I whispered. Kai didn't look triumphant. He didn't look shocked. He just nodded once like he'd been expecting those words. Or something worse. "And the voice?" he asked. My pulse fluttered. "Someone I trusted. Someone I shouldn't have." His expression flickered. Barely. But enough that I saw calculation sharpen into concern. "And now they found you," he said. I nodded once, slowly. Kai exhaled through his nose, steady, controlled. Then he said something I didn't expect. "Okay, I'm here." Not why. Not tell me everything. Not you owe me the truth. Just, "I'm here." The simplest words, the most dangerous ones, because someone being present can unravel you faster than someone being gone. I walked to the window, needing distance I didn't take. The rain streaked the glass like fingerprints. "He wasn't supposed to find me," I whispered. "He?" Kai repeated, not jealous, not curious, focused. I nodded. Kai didn't pace or press. He stood still, a presence, an anchor, like he was giving me the space to choose my next words instead of dragging them out. I hated how much I needed that. "It started as a story," I said, "a harmless one, something small, something I thought I could walk away from." Kai tilted his head slightly. "But stories aren't harmless," he said. "They're invitations." The way he said it made something in me both ache and burn. "Yes," I breathed. "And some people take invitations as promises." I finally turned to face him again. He believed I belonged to him, not because of what I said, but because of what I didn't say no to quickly enough. Kai's jaw tightened, a subtle movement barely visible, but the shift was unmistakable. A flash of something protective controlled only by sheer discipline. "And now he thinks you owe him something," Kai said. I didn't answer. I didn't need to. Kai's gaze darkened, not anger, not fear, understanding. "He didn't take rejection well," he said. "It wasn't a question, it was recognition." "No," I whispered. "He didn't." The rain hit the window harder, like the sky was eavesdropping. Kai took a slow breath. "And now, he's here." My throat tightened. Yes. For a long moment, neither of us spoke. I felt the weight of everything I hadn't said, the whole story of who I was before this apartment, before silence, before escape. Kai walked toward me, slow, deliberate, stopping close enough that I could feel the warmth of him, but not close enough that we touched. His voice lowered, quiet, intimate, unguarded. You didn't deserve whatever broke you. The words hit me harder than I expected. I looked up at him, and in that moment, we were too close to lie anymore. Not with words, at least. Kai, I whispered, warning and wanting tangled together. He didn't move back. If he hurt you... He didn't touch me, I cut in. Kai's exhale was quiet, but heavy with something like relief, and something like rage. What did he do then? I looked away toward the window where streetlights cut gold lines across the rain. He made me feel like I was safe with him, I said. And then he used that safety to see how far he could pull me. Kai's eyes closed briefly, not in frustration, but in grief for something that didn't happen to him. Then he whispered, "That's still a kind of harm." I hadn't expected validation. Not like that. Something in my chest cracked, not enough to break, just enough to breathe. I leaned back against the wall, unable to step away from the gravity between us. He liked the version of me he imagined, I said softly. I left before he tried to replace the real one. Kai nodded once, slow, deliberate, like he was piecing together a puzzle he already half solved. And now he wants the version he invented, he said. And you're afraid he'll try to make you be her again. My breath caught. Yes, Kai understands without needing details. Why did you open the door for me tonight? Kai asked suddenly. The question stole my balance. I searched for an answer safe enough, small enough, harmless enough, something that wouldn't expose the truth I hadn't dared say even to myself. The eighth lie came to my lips. Kai saw it forming, I swear he did, and shook his head once, almost imperceptibly. Don't, he whispered. The single word cut through me, not sharp, not harsh. True. Don't hide from who you are with me, he said quietly. It's the one thing you haven't done yet. I closed my eyes, because he was right. I opened the door for him because he felt like danger I chose instead of danger that chose me. Because his presence didn't swallow me, it woke me. Because avoiding him felt like lying in a way silence couldn't fix. But those weren't words. They were confessions. So I said the closest truth I could hold without collapsing. I didn't want to be alone when he found me. Kai's breath hitched. Once, like a note struck too hard. He didn't touch me. He didn't reach. But his voice was closer when he spoke again. Softer, heavier, almost a vow. You're not alone now. Support feels like temptation. The phone buzzed again. This time Kai reached for it before I could react. Not grabbing my hand, just the device, turning it so we both could read. We need to talk. I'm not leaving until you do. I didn't realize I was shaking until Kai set the phone on the counter, screen down. His voice was steady. You're not opening that door. I didn't argue, not because he was commanding, but because something inside me agreed before I did. Let me talk to him, Kai added. My heart jumped. No, I whispered, you don't know him. Kai's gaze held mine, unwavering, steady. I don't need to know him, he said on. I need to know you. And just like that, the fear shifted. It wasn't just about being found. It was about being understood. Intimacy becomes risk. Kai stepped closer, slow, deliberate, until we were an arm's length apart. He didn't touch me, not once, but the air between us felt charged, like one wrong breath would turn gravity into collision. "Tell me what you're afraid of," he murmured. "Becoming someone I don't want to be again," I whispered. Kai's gaze softened, dark, steady, something like promise hidden beneath restraint. "I won't let that happen," he said. "You can't promise that." I breathed. "I'm not promising," he replied. "I'm choosing." My pulse stuttered. I didn't pull away. He didn't step forward, but it felt like we were inches from something irreversible. Desire waits. Restraint burns. I finally told him, not everything, not the full story, but enough. The way the man in the hallway had once made me feel seen, the way that visibility became possession, how leaving felt like survival, not escape. Kai didn't interrupt. He didn't react. But I saw something settle in him, a quiet rage, directed not at me but at the unseen shape of the past. When I finished, I expected distance. Instead, Kai whispered, "You didn't run. You left. There's a difference." My breath shuddered out, because no one had ever said that to me. Validation as vulnerability. The hallway fell silent again. Hours passed, or maybe minutes. Time felt like a dream someone forgot to finish. When dawn lightened the edges of the curtains, I realized Kai had never sat down, never closed his eyes, never stopped watching the door like he was guarding something he hadn't been invited to protect. "You should sleep," I whispered. "I will," he said. "After." "After what?" His voice dropped. "After I know he's gone." I wanted to argue, but I didn't, because something inside me wasn't scared anymore. Not the same way. The apartment felt smaller with him there, but not confined, contained, protected. I almost spoke, almost told him something true for once, when a sound broke the morning quiet. Paper sliding under the door. Kai froze. I froze. He walked forward, slow, ready, and picked up the envelope from the floor. He didn't open it. He studied the handwriting, and then he looked up at me, eyes darker than I'd ever seen, and said, "This isn't from him." My stomach dropped. "What?" Kai handed me the envelope. I recognized the handwriting instantly, not from the man at the door, but from someone else entirely. My chest tightened, breath trapped. It wasn't one person who found me. It was two. Kai saw the realization hit me and stepped closer, not touching, but close enough I felt steadied. "You need to open it," he said softly. I tore the flap. A single line in familiar handwriting. "I know what you did, and I'm done protecting you." My vision blurred, not tears, shock. Kai's voice barely reached me. "Who is this?" I swallowed, throat dry. "The one person I never expected to turn against me." Kai's jaw locked. "And now you're trapped between the one who wants you back." His voice dropped lower. "And the one who wants revenge." I nodded. Once, the truth hollowing me out. Kai stepped in, closer than before, and whispered, "Then you're not facing them alone." I felt something break open inside me, not pain, not relief, recognition, because for the first time in a long time, I wasn't just hunted. I was chosen. Kai walked to the door, checked the hallway through the peephole, then locked the chain as well. He turned back to me, and his voice was steady, inevitable. "Two people found you, but only one came to the door. The other sent a message." I nodded. Kai's eyes held mine, unblinking. "Which one are you more afraid of?" I didn't hesitate. "The one who knows the truth." Kai inhaled slowly, and I saw it, The moment everything changed, not curiosity, not attraction, protectiveness, and beneath it, something fiercer, belonging. He stepped toward me until our breaths tangled, not touching, not crossing the line, just close enough that the choice was mine to make. His voice was almost a whisper. Then tell me the truth before they do. I opened my mouth, finally ready to speak the words I'd buried. But before a single sound left my lips, someone knocked again. A different rhythm, a different presence. Kai turned toward the door, controlled, ready. I closed my eyes, heart racing, because I recognized the knock. Not from the past, I fled. From the past, I lost. And the words that finally broke out of me weren't the ones I meant to say, or the ones I needed to. They were the only ones I could. He wasn't the only one I left. The knock echoed once more, then stopped. Kai didn't open the door. He waited. I felt the weight of my own words settling into the room. He wasn't the only one I left. Kai turned slowly, eyes steady, voice low. Then start there. I sank onto the edge of the couch, the past rising like a tide I'd been outrunning for years. There was someone before him, I said, someone who loved me quietly, carefully, the kind of love that doesn't trap you. It asks. Kai didn't interrupt. I didn't leave because he hurt me, I continued. I left because I was afraid I'd destroy him. That was the truth I'd never said out loud. The knock didn't come again. Whoever it was, they were listening. Kai crouched in front of me, not touching, not forcing, grounding himself at my level. And the man outside? He wanted ownership, I whispered. The other one wanted honesty. I failed them both. Kai's jaw tightened, not in judgment, but resolve. You didn't fail, he said. You survived something no one prepared you for. Outside, footsteps faded. Inside, something shifted. For the first time, I wasn't running. Safety has a price. I learned that the next day. The building manager called about a complaint. A neighbor asked too many questions. A stranger waited across the street just a little too long. Someone was circling. Kai didn't leave. He moved through my apartment like someone memorizing exits. Not possessive, just alert. You need a plan, he said. I had one, I replied. You had distance, he corrected. That's not the same. That night, I told him more, not everything, but enough that my voice shook, about the lie that grew teeth, about the silence that became consent, about leaving without goodbye because staying felt like erasure. Kai listened. Then he said something that changed how I saw him forever. If they come again, he said, they don't get you without going through me. It should have scared me. Instead, it felt like relief. It happened quietly. No dramatic confession, no reckless urgency. Just two people standing too close after midnight. Exhaustion peeling away restraint. Kai brushed my hair back, slow, asking permission, without words. I didn't stop him. The kiss wasn't desperate. It was careful, like crossing a border you know you can never uncross. Afterward, we didn't celebrate. We didn't regret it either. We just sat there, foreheads touching, breathing the same truth. Everything had changed. Morning came with consequences, messages, silence. The feeling of being watched even when alone. Kai stood at the window, scanning the street like someone who knew danger wasn't always loud. I can't be half in this, he said finally. My heart sank. Neither can I replied. That was the choice. Not between past and present, but between hiding and living. We didn't know who would come next. We didn't know what would be exposed. But we knew this: the lie that started everything was over, and whatever came for us next wouldn't find me alone. Thank you for listening and coloring with me. You don't have to finish the page tonight because some spaces are meant to stay open. Good night from Color and Tales.